According to Carl Jung, nothing in the universe is random. The people we meet, the events that happen in our lives, are all reflected in our video. In this video, we will delve deeper into the law of resonance, explore who we meet and why, as well as the significance of these meetings in our lives. First, there are no matches. Carl Jung, who argued that nothing in the universe is a coincidence, did not believe that the people we encounter in life are simply the result of chance. For him, every meeting is an expression of spiritual resonance, an invisible connection that unites us and operates in a predetermined manner, deep in the subconscious. People, events, and all the moments that concern our lives are part of a larger whole that our consciousness cannot perceive outside of time, space, and circumstances. Every interaction occurs in response to an inner call. Every person we meet is a reflection of our inner world. Sometimes it indicates a flaw. Sometimes it indicates completeness. These meetings, even if they seem simple and insignificant at first glance, are in fact unavoidable stops on our spiritual path. Jung's concept of synchronicity helps us understand the meaning of these seemingly random events. Synchronicity is the occurrence of two events that are meaningfully connected without any physical cause and effect relationship. Meeting someone is not just an external event, but also an echo of an inner vocation. The moments that we consider coincidences are actually moments when the deep essence of life seems to wink at us. The universe always organizes meetings that correspond to the purity of our soul, even if we are not aware of it. That's why no one comes into our lives by accident. Every meeting is a visible expression of our inner process. No real meeting is ordinary. Each of them is part of a larger pattern into which our spiritual development is woven stitch by stitch. The law of resonance is based on the fact that everything in the universe radiates vibration and frequency. Combined with the psychological ideas of Carl Jung, this law states that a person's inner frequency attracts certain people and events from the outside world. The human mind is powered not only by conscious thoughts, but also by deeply ingrained unconscious beliefs, repressed emotions, and remnants of past experiences. These deep vibrations form the basis of the law of resonance. At whatever frequency our inner state vibrates, inevitably external events compatible with this vibration will be attracted into our lives. Unconscious fears, desires, or hopes are invisible threads, a web of relationships that we weave around ourselves, often without realizing it. The law of resonance is based on the principle that energies vibrating at the same frequency attract each other, just as two sound waves of the same frequency combine to create a stronger vibration. In this context, the people we encounter are not just external beings, but reflections of our inner world. When we attract someone into our lives, we actually find part of our inner state in their personality, behavior, or just their presence. This law also shows that spiritual growth is always reciprocal. When we come into contact with the lives of others, they, in turn, reflect invisible aspects of ourselves. Therefore, every person who appears in our lives is a reaction to the purity that we radiate. On a conscious or subconscious level, understanding the law of resonance allows us to better understand not only our relationships, but also our inner world. Because the real changes do not come from changing external conditions, but from the transformation of our inner vibration. Living with this understanding allows us to approach human relationships more wisely, revealing the hidden meaning of meetings. According to Carl Jung, every encounter is not just a coincidence, but an external expression of our inner world. Each person performs a specific task in our lives. These people teach us something not only by their existence, but also by their behavior, their words, and their presence. Meeting a person is much more than just watching them from the sidelines. Jung explains the process of individuation, one of the fundamental principles of individual psychology, as a way in which such encounters become steps to self-discovery. To reach our true selves, we need to learn from the people, events, and situations we encounter. These meetings turn into opportunities that promote our spiritual growth. Sometimes the person we meet introduces us to a side of ourselves. Perhaps it highlights an inner quality that we hadn't noticed before. Sometimes meeting difficult people creates conflict, which is necessary for growth. Such interactions reveal our emotional reactions, fears, and limitations. In fact, this is what allows us to explore ourselves more deeply. Each meeting can also be considered a kind of reflection. People are like mirrors. They reflect hidden aspects of our inner world, repressed emotions, repressed thoughts, forgotten sides of ourselves. Instead of avoiding these reflections or giving into them blindly, it is important to accept them and reveal their meaning. This is an important part of our path of individuation. Attracting a person into our lives reveals not only their very existence, but also the deepest, and sometimes the most hidden corners of our inner world. The people we meet can become our companions and guides on this inner journey. However, sometimes they become an obstacle to our personal growth. But it also makes sense. Such meetings, as well as difficult lessons, can transform us. By understanding the deeper meaning of problems and conflicts, we can become stronger and more aware. According to Jung, the relationships we build with people who are out of harmony with our inner world are, in a certain sense, sparks that awaken our spiritual energy. Such meetings often open up opportunities for growth and transformation, because sometimes only the most difficult and unpleasant people can make real changes and awareness in our lives. Every meeting carries an inner message, even if we don't realize it. This message may be a call to develop a new perspective, break old patterns, or overcome internal barriers. For example, meeting someone who is emotionally detached and constantly positions himself as strong is actually an opportunity to admit his own weaknesses. Similarly, some people who come into our lives can fill the emotional void that arises in us by showing love and compassion. As a result, every person we meet is a teacher and an archetype on our spiritual path. The ability to understand the meaning of these meetings not only shapes individual consciousness, but also allows us to realize the universal connection, our common basis with humanity. People and experiences are tools that help us understand ourselves as a whole and, ultimately, discover our essence more deeply. In the understanding of Carl Jung's psychology, the unconscious is not just an area where forgotten memories or suppressed emotions are stored. This is a deep and dynamic aspect of a person's psychological structure. Jung emphasized that the unconscious is one of the cornerstones of individual psychology. He argued that the forces forming in this area determine the interaction of individuals with the outside world. The unconscious often acts as an invisible force, leaving traces in our lives that we don't even know about. These unconscious forces are a collection of internal motives, emotions, beliefs, desires, and fears. Many people perceive the unconscious only as a repository of negative and repressed memories. But, according to Jung, it is also a source of creative and transformative power. It is not only hidden in the dark corners of our inner world, but also carries the potential to accelerate personal development. In the context of the law of resonance, the role of the unconscious is especially important, because it is the vibrations of our inner world that shape the people and events that appear around us. A person radiates his spiritual vibrations outwards, whether he is aware of it or not. These vibrations create a force that can either attract or repel others. Jung describes this phenomenon as symbolic attraction. No matter what emotions, beliefs, or traumas we focus on in our inner world, we attract people with similar energy into our lives. It works like a magnet that attracts the poles of the same name. However, such attraction is not just a result of physics, but a manifestation of resonance on a psychological and spiritual level. Attraction occurs due to the powerful influence of our subconscious mind. Our own internal wounds, fears, or suppressed desires make us notice similar character traits in others. For example, a person who in the past believed that his love was not appreciated enough may often encounter people who are hungry for love and emotionally alienated. This situation is a kind of reflection of the unconscious. Our internal shortcomings are transformed into the desire to make up for them in the outside world. The gravitational pull of the unconscious affects not only people's individual behavior, but it also manifests itself in social relationships and group dynamics. When people come together, they are influenced not only by their personal desires and conscious thoughts, but also by the group unconscious. The community begins to vibrate at a certain frequency, corresponding to its collective unconscious impulses.